Welcome back to FPRK Radio Podcast, Fuck Politics, Religion, and Kanye West, a podcast where we talk about all the things that tear us apart, all the things you ain't allowed to bring up in the office or you're going to get a visit from HR, politics, religion, and my guy, Kanye West. First, let me apologize for the break. I don't know if you know this about me, but I do this when I want. This ain't my job. You can pay me if you want more accuracy. Just kidding. I'm going to try to make it more regular. I'm thankful to my 5 listeners. I appreciate y'all. So welcome back. Today we're joined by my esteemed guest, Reid Clark.
Hey, what's up, 5 guys? I'm Reid Clark, Reid Clark Comedy on social medias. Thanks for having me.
And this guys and gals. There's I've got both.
Yeah. The 5 Guys is a burger restaurant.
I had it last week. It slaps.
Yeah. Shout out to 5 Guys.
Shout out 5 Guys. They're not my sponsor.
Shout
out. I decided I want unofficial sponsors, by the way. So now I'm going to shout out to the Bohemian House of Chai. Go over there, the Bohemian House of Chai on 6th and Spring. Go see Blackie. He makes the best chai and the best matcha you're going to find in Los Angeles. So go see him.
Ask for Blackie.
Ask for Blackie. I know it seems wrong, but he's a sweet man. It's funny. A white woman actually introduced me to that coffee shop. She's like, "Oh, do you know Blackie?" And I was like, "Excuse me,
man."
But she's absolutely right. And go see Blackie. All right, so we're here with Reid. So Reid, tell me where you're from.
From go see Blackie is actually how white people go see Tyler Perry movies. I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina. Southern area, bounced around a lot. When I was with a white woman that was a travel nurse, so Denver, Seattle, Texas, a lot of different places and people.
Okay.
And things.
Yeah. Which will have you learning a lot about America.
And that was kind of the point.
Yeah. Figuring out all right. So we. Traveling throughout America, I feel like shapes how you feel about America, obviously. Like, if you just spend your whole time in one place. Like, I grew up in, right outside of Philadelphia. And I didn't know the other side of my state was, a kind of fucked up redneck state until I left when I was, 16 or 17 to go visit other places. And then so you kind of get an idea of what America is based on what you're shown of America. And then as you go see America, a lot of it's true, but then, a lot of it's not true. So how would you say that kind of... being from down south, up north, northwest.
I think it's going to sound corny, but people are really the difference, but also not really. It's a lot of variations of the same people. But one of the most, this might be really sad, one of the most important lessons I've gotten, and I will tell people, is every place is pretty much the same. So if you are looking at and most people where I'm from don't even really make it out of where they're from to travel and shit like that. And if you have an idea that you're going to go to a city that you haven't been before, you haven't heard of before, and think it's going to be completely different. No, it's going to have a downtown district. It's either going to be 4 blocks or parking's going to be a bitch. But essentially, structurally, societally, some cities have weird old rules that are all still similar.
Right.
But the people, really. But it's I gravitate to the degenerates of different cities. So when I would go to Boston, I would just be I want to go to, because that's when that Whitey Bulger movie I think was about to come out or just come out.
The Departed?
No. The Johnny Depp one. Where he played Whitey Bulger.
Yeah.
And so I was I want to go to fucking a bar in Southie. So
you went to a bar in Southie?
Yeah, we went to a really heavy accent. Don't I know you? It was fun. It was
adventurous.
A place we went seemed like a drug front. We would pay with cash, and he would give us change with his change should have been $2, but it would be 2 5s. And we had just given him a 5. And this happened we were there at 2. So yes, degenerates. But this happened for as long as we were there. He's like, you want to play pool? Just put your name on the board. Very hard accent. Cool though. It was a bit diverse, more diverse than you would think. Some old black guys was in there kicking it. Some Hispanic kids,
But still, they don't know you either. So you be like, oh, black people. And they're like, we don't know that nigga.
Yeah, that was the vibe too.
Yeah.
They was not about to let me on that pool table, I'll tell you that.
No. I want to say traveling the country has been, it's both positive and negative. I've learned wherever you go, there's nice people. Mm-hmm. And it's also wherever you go, there's somewhere that's you don't belong here and you should leave. And I've found it in both places. and it's basically the same vibe everywhere. And like, you know, I tend to go towards the degenerates myself. So like whatever city I pull up in, like be there for 24 hours, and somehow they're like, you found the sketchiest people in this whole city. And I'm like, these guys? Yeah. We was just about to smoke a blunt. Yeah. Like literally every city I go into, they're like, how'd you find these people? And why are y'all cool? I'm like, it's all right. You guys are judging them. And you learn a lot about places and people in that way as well, which I think like for me personally, that's like kind of shaped how I feel about the world. Because I have like friends of all like, you know, classes and cultures, but I'm like, I don't really feel like I know about the world unless I know how the degenerates are doing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Let's check in to the barometer where the funny shit is. You just like I like to do what would Richard Pryor do in the city? Well, you're talking about the good and the bad, and sometimes I appreciate the signage. You know, if a bar has Blue Lives Matter paraphernalia, you know,
don't go in there.
Drinks on you, Brian, for bringing me in here, and then let's go to the black spot like you promised we could.
Let's go immediately. Yeah.
So, but also those sort of places, and yeah, the South and Confederate flag, but sometimes those Confederate flag bars, those Confederate flag shows will be the best sort of interactions with people. I mean, until it's not. But sometimes
until it's not.
Sometimes you do meet people that it's like, oh, I liked what you said. It made me think this, you know, like I'm fucking racist, but on like I used to do a thing. I don't bang racism. I just rep it. So like a lot of people are racist on like a surface level. They're not actually doing anything they're poor just like me.
Right.
But it's like you touch on the stereotypes, show how like they're wrong, and they'll be like, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I've had like, and this is like, you know, I like to talk to everybody about everything. Like people are like, oh, would you talk? I'm like, I'll talk to a racist. I don't give a fuck. If like someone from the Klan wanted to pull up and have a conversation, I'll have a conversation with them. Like what bad could come of it, right? Like I'm not going to end up believing him. And there's a chance, you know what I mean? Like, there's no chance that I'm getting swung that way. But there's a chance I might swing him, you know what I mean? And I remember I was hanging out in Michigan once, right before the 2016 election on a lake, and it was just like MAGA hats everywhere. Very, very, like you could count the black people, like there's one over there and one over there. We met him, we met this one. And like most of the people, even like the MAGA people, were more like, let me explain to you why we feel this way. Let me explain, like, you know what I mean? They were like, whatever assumptions you had on them, they weren't being dicks. Like we got pulled over by the police on this trip, like on jet skis, and like all these white people saw it, and a bunch of them like, whoa. And they were like, you know why they pulled you over, right? And we're like, yeah, we know why they pulled us over. They're like, oh, as long as you know. I'm like, as long as you know, as long as you're aware that that's why I got pulled over. Like, yeah, they don't pull nobody over out here.
Also, how fun was it to get pulled over on a jet ski?
That shit was embarrassing, bro.
Really?
Yeah, man.
That still seems fun to me. I love jet skis.
Jet skis are great.
Until the cops show up.
Right, we got pulled over twice.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, like, it was me and my brother-in-law. We're riding these jet skis, and we're going to this like lake party, and we going super slow as we can go. Like, not causing no wake. We smiling and waving at people. Like, we know where we at, right? So we're trying to be like decent, you know.
Can't even use it like a jet ski. You're on a jet ski like a horse.
I mean, like granted, our tags were expired, but like they weren't our jet skis. Like we were there. I don't live in Michigan. We were borrowing jet skis. So they're like, oh, do you have a fire extinguisher in here? I'm like, oh no, bro, this ain't my jet ski. I already told you that. Like this belongs to these white people over here. To go take it up with them. And then we got a ticket and everything. And like all the people running into the thing, it's just like the only black people. And the cops got us pulled over, and people were just like, And I'm sure some of them was like, good, get them. But like, we got a real good response from people, and I was like, I didn't expect to be pulled over, but I didn't expect the people being somewhat supportive and wanting to talk about it.
I'm torn. The cop, to be a cop on a jet ski must be so fun, and you at some point must hate pulling over the black guys that aren't from here.
They did not hate it.
But because you got a quota. And I'm sure if you're a jet ski cop, you can only write up with so many citations from there.
Bruh, they called us on a tag. So I started pointing out all the tags that was expired as they rode past. He showed me where the tag was. I didn't know. He's like, it's here. That tag's expired. That tag's expired. that's a 16-year-old kid drinking a beer, doing a front flip off of a boat.
That's
like
hilarious.
it was like that shit. It was like kids rolling past hammered.
That was his nephew though. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, like, you know, it's like, but so like in that situation, I might have been like, some of the people I'd have been like, let me stay away from here. But then I've walked into bars and the signage was just like, get out, and you're like, okay,
right.
Like, there's a better place for me, I'm sure.
Oh man! When you talk about Pennsylvania, there's a little shout out Church of Satire in Hanover, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
But it's not the city. I went with my mom, and we went to like just across the street. You know, you get to a place probably like an hour early, and you want to unwind, be around the city. So we walk into like a hot dog place, and literally like from a movie, we walk in. It's like ding ding ding. Silence. Everybody's like looking at us.
Yeah.
And then like after like maybe 4 seconds, everything picks back up again. Like like the stove was off. Like.
And like, yeah, I go to mad small towns too because I be like, you know, I like to camp and do random shit and stuff. And like I try to be like, I got my friendliest face on. I'm always like, hey, how's it going? All right, yeah, how are you? Okay, has the weather been good? Or, you know what I mean? I do the whole shit. And if I don't catch the vibe off that, I'm like, all right, we gotta go. We gotta get out of here. And like, notice my white friends never pick up on it.
Oh, wow.
Rarely pick up on the vibe. Like, I was with my one homie, we were up in Ojai, and I, like, walked into the store, caught the vibe as soon as I walked in. I was buying kombucha and shit. Like, there was no reason, like, and, like, one dude, I got my kombucha on the counter, like, $6, and, like, some other snack, like, some healthy shit. And his homie walks by, as I'm at the counter, and is like, you all right? To the, like, the dude, he's like, yeah, I'm fine. And I was like, nigga, I got $6 kombucha. What you think I'm about to do? Like, yeah. And like,
you thought you were making fun of him.
Yeah, so I walk outside and I was like to my homie, I was like, yo, we gotta go, white boy. And he's like, wow, what's going on? I was like, vibe ain't right here. And he was like, I ain't see anything. And my other black homie come out and he was like, yo, we gotta go. And I was like, you felt that? He was like, fuck yeah, we gotta get out this place. And I was like, yeah, all right, bet. All the way, we were like, oh.
It's you know, we inherited that.
Yeah, it's like it's a survival. Like it's like a natural thing. Like animals have to like be able to detect the fear or whatever. They're like, well, we've never had to develop this survival skill.
But on the other side of that's so crazy though that they look at us with fear, and that's just mainly based off of like stories. The way like you can't look in a newspaper and be like, you know, this happened. So whenever you see a black guy and his mom walk into a hot dog restaurant, you should have a moment. I assume that's fear, right? Like you don't usually see black people, and when you do in media, it's maybe menacing images. So just the sight of black people makes you have that hesitancy that's like a bit longer. Like when you stare too long, it's like you don't mean to do that. It's like you're kind of not. You're living in your head and not like the moment for a second.
Right.
But we have like a legitimate reason to be afraid of white faces.
Yeah.
If you want to really look at like the history.
Right.
But we still give them like, how are you? Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, there's a sign. Yep.
Yeah.
You know, like we still.
Right. Whereas like, you know, and they could be like, oh, it'd be scary for us to be in the hood. But like I've been in hoods that I'm not known. And I know I have to feel more fear than a white person in the hood that don't know. Every time a white dude I know is like in the hood, they're like, oh, white boy in the projects. Oh, he's down, da-da-da-da. And you're like, you just don't know. You don't know me. And they're like, who are you? Right. Who do you know here then? Like, it's, I feel like we're more welcoming. We're very welcoming people.
To white people, yeah. Because, I mean, it fucks up the money. If white boys die in your neighborhood or whatever.
Yeah. I always be wanting to like go places with a like I'm an important black person T-shirt. Like people look for me. Like, nah.
My family knows I'm here.
Yeah. Come on. So do politically, since we haven't even gone into that on this iteration, pretty just independent.
Yes.
Don't give a fuck.
Don't give a fuck about things that don't necessarily have to do with me. Like. I did mention my opinion on abortion, and now I have to do it again. I think I am for it being prohibited, just the way prohibition led to the Kennedys having a fortune. I think if we prohibit abortion, there's going to be some lady gynecologist who's just been meaning to break into the medical field, and she's going to, her daughter will make the Kardashians look like Anna Nicole Smith. But if you ask me my opinion on abortion, I'm not trying to be funny. I don't care.
I mean, my opinions. I mean, I'm a pro-choice Like, here's my
sure, but
and
like,
also,
well, that's what I mean.
but
By, like, I
here's-
don't
here's-
care. Like,
right.
it's like it's not something that I have to deal with. So it's not, which is pro-choice, but not as like I'm not about to, shit on people that feel a certain way about it. You know what I mean?
I mean, all right. So here's, and I think, and we'll talk about Kanye later, but like people got really mad at Kanye because Kanye is like pro-life, but he's like I'm supposed to support it, right? But he's like I'm pro-life for myself, and people like got really upset with it, and everything he says after that he's pro-life makes sense, right? To me, like he goes like I'm pro-life myself for my personal choice, but I would never tell someone else what they need to do. But he's like, I think if you're pro-life, then you should be like pro-life in life. And so what I would propose is if you don't want mothers to get abortions, then we have to provide support and services for them after they have a child, and that might make a woman more likely.
Right.
Like, so he's like,
remember that.
he's like, I don't want to go plan B, I want to be plan A, and his plan A was like, give every woman that has a child like $100,000. And like people never even got to that because he was like, no, I would never put a law. I want to take away some of the reasons that people want to get abortions, which is like, I can't afford it, or like, my life's not ready for this. So I was like, all right, that makes sense. Because I think, like, as I'm like wildly pro-choice and don't want any restrictions to it, really, I don't give a shit. Like, if, whatever, no restrictions, I'm fine with that. But we've gotten to a point where we pretend as though, like, abortions are like a great thing, and I'm like, no, like I'm like it should be an option on the table for anyone who wants to have it, but like we should also be like looking to be like, oh, how can we reduce this? How do we find means of better birth control or better sex education or better support for mothers after they have a child and all this other shit. Instead, we've like the way we word it now being like you have to be like violently pro-choice or violently pro-life leaves out the space for discussing like, well, is this something that we want on the rise? You know what I mean?
That's the one of the great tricks of whitey, right?
Right.
Nuance doesn't really exist anymore. So the fact, and then there's so much there. So the Kanye West, I don't know if you heard the Patrice O'Neal shit about if I say the sky is blue, but I stick marbles up my ass, people might be like, like he's right, but he sticks marbles up his ass. So Kanye West, I think, heard that and then started perpetually sticking marbles up his ass to where it's moments of wild shit because everybody remembers the crime because that's what the internet is. But then he is saying this stuff is like, it's a good foundation for an idea that could be, if somebody got caught a hold of that could do something. Maybe some of the specifics are a little bit weird, but just the idea that to help somebody who isn't prepared to be a parent, but still bring life into the world if that's what they wanted to do, if that was like the main concern, makes like complete sense. But the powers that be don't want to. It's like Joker and Batman, right? Because I feel like 5 to 10 years, the Supreme Court talks about voting rights or abortion. So it's like this is just the new M. Night Shyamalan iteration of the Batman story. Like it's just gonna keep being the Joker's gonna come. Maybe we'll get the Riddler.
Right. Yeah.
But we're not gonna get the diddlers. But we're just
never get the diddlers.
I hate that I said that, but
I mean, but
they want to keep having these same issues over and over again because I think that's easy for them to control. There
did
are more.
Did you mean
things.
by that?
Yes,
we'll never get the Riddler, we'll get the Joker, that we keep tackling these like fake issues that we're never actually going to do anything with, but we never actually go against like maybe say like half the elected presidents being accused of fucking children, but it's something that we don't talk about. Or like, the obvious pedophilia ring going on within politics and celebrity and royalty throughout the world.
And they talk about it exactly. And they talk about it with white people, right? Jeffrey Epstein made it cool. R. Kelly put black missing people on the map, unfortunately, but it's been like in the D.C. area, that shit is crazy. It's almost like if you keep track of that shit and always are looking, it's a lot of people, a lot of children are missing. A lot of brown bodies are just gone.
I mean, and like, it's just a lot of bodies. Like it is, I've always been pretty into the a lot. I don't even like to call them conspiracy theories. Because like everything I like even like look into on all this is like just solid foundation. Like Jeffrey Epstein is like very solid. Like everyone, the whole world is 100% positive that Jeffrey Epstein was a like high-end sexual trafficker to celebrities and politicians and billionaires. everyone's positive about it. And then he died, and we're like, well, I guess that's the end of that. Like,
That's some mafia shit.
right, yeah.
I be liking sometimes how evil Whitey is, because I like mob movies.
Yeah.
So when I look at it cinematically, I'm like, damn, so wait, you said a black dude raped a white woman, and then you blew up the whole city?
Yeah, like, nigga, that's cold.
Y'all wild,
And then just kept rolling.
Y'all
And it was
wild,
like,
B.
so what are we going to do about that? Just don't mention it again. Like, that's it.
And that's what I don't get, like, the idea. I hate the idea of, like, Hotep and using it to, like, demean, because it really means, like, peace, but using it as, like, a caricature is so fucked up, because they get into, like, I'm skeptical of life because I've seen, like, that's like mini 9/11. Like, the black dude raped me in the cornfield is the first.
Like, they got weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah. They
Mhm.
use that shit on us early. So now when it's like, did the bombs go off?
Right. No,
I don't
great thing
know.
I
I
heard
read some
yesterday,
stuff.
and I had to just talk about this to someone because I never got to mention it to someone because I was listening in the car. I listen to conservative talk radio all the time, right?
That's funny.
Love conservative talk radio. Like, I hate it, but, like, I just like to know what
It
they're
is
talking about and shit.
interesting,
And they, so the dude was like, it was last night, and they were talking about, I don't even remember what they were talking about, but they compared it. He was like, someone compared this to Birth of a Nation. And he was like, and to explain to you what Birth of a Nation is, like, they're comparing it to this movie from, like, 1915 that basically restarted the KKK in America. Never mind that the black men were raping the other women in the village, but never mind besides that. And this nigga just justified the coming back of the KKK because of the lie that black men were raping white women. And he was like, no, black men were raping white. And I was like, we're still perpetuating this shit today.
Dude, they still teach that film. I just got a film school degree online, and I've had to learn about and was told to watch Birth of a Nation so many times. I'm like, but how are colleges too woke if you're still teaching shit like this?
Yeah.
Like, the fucking, you have to think, we're not really trained. We can only do Democratic or Republican because our brains aren't really wired enough, and it's just to save time to think so deeply about every little thing.
Right.
All the time. Generally, it's like pro-choice, pro-life. It's like, I don't care. What does that mean? I don't have time to go into it.
Right.
My brain doesn't want to. Your brain doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
That's like the fact that we can't really look at things. I don't know if that's something that we could get better at with time. I think that might be part of what, like, overall programming was and has been. Because I don't know if you've, like, we watch, this podcast, Dollop, and they talk about news, not news, but, like, old, like, stuff from, like, the 1700s and shit. And then all they have to read is, like, the correspondence between people. People used to be so good with words, bruh. Mm-hmm. People used to be slanging words.
Right. And now our words is like, bruh. Bruh. Like, that's how you, like,
Motherfuckers used to describe passionately how they wanted to make love with the woman in the letter using metaphors and shit. Now it's like, you coming over, eggplant. And, like,
I'm trying to smash.
I think we may have at one point, and all the different civil rights leaders that had a wide variety of thoughts from, I'm going to get the nigga's name, Philip Randolph, Abernathy, those dudes. Like, just those two had, like, completely different, like, little... we know about the Black Panthers, and I forget what the Martin Luther King one was. But, look at it like record companies.
Yeah.
Back then, every nigga had there's civil rights labels out here, and they was moving. There was a lot of them. But now, it's just four people we call hoteps who essentially all think the same thing, but then argue with each other.
Exactly. Part two, which is, I feel like this is the one that people always like, oh, I don't really have a take on this. And you seem like you wouldn't, if you just told me that you was like a wildly religious nigga, that would surprise the shit out of me. If you were just like, nah, I go to church every Sunday and Bible study every Wednesday. I actually think that would shock me. But where you at on that?
I did grow up like that for a little bit. I'm a complicated relationship with the
law.
Religion. My mom was a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, yeah, I'm Jehovah's.
Before me. But then I think my dad was a Catholic, but he didn't care about it. He just, repeated what the book said. didn't like practice or anything. And then I think we went to a Baptist church for a little bit.
Baptist church, that's the best church.
Yeah. Then went to a Baptist church. Then I think my mom started to experience like the non-denominational stuff was fun. So I think we bounced around for a while. And then I think we stopped going until I was playing basketball. And this white boy who I was like training under this coach with, his dad was a preacher and had like 6 kids. So one day his sister walked into that gym. And I was like, Mom, we're going to this
We're going
church.
to that church.
And yeah,
That's the extent of your religion?
Well, that ended. Cut to years later, manifested that it went back. We would get caught doing stuff, and by the time I was like in high school, we was, still getting caught doing stuff. We got caught at the mall, and he was like, "If I ever see you with my daughter again, it's going down." You know what I mean? I was like, "No, sir, I don't."
I don't know what you mean.
Like, I'm gonna whoop your ass.
Yeah, on God. Say what you said.
Oh man, if I could go back in time and tell my 16-year-old self the phrase "on God," I think
You're like, damn it, I had to respond. Do you have any beliefs now? Like, do you have my question usually goes because like people have like I believe this, I believe that, but I'm like, all right, where you think what happens to you when you die, and then what do you think where were you before you were alive?
Well, I wanted to intro with that because I think I did religion wrong. The more I look back on that shit, I'm like, I think it's structurally bullshit, but it makes sense. And it's like the thing I was talking about, the brain, you can only compartmentalize with so much. So it's either you die and it's nothing, or you die and it's great, or you die and it's bad. Like, I don't know. Like, there's no... I think when oh boy, when you do DMT...
Yeah. We've talked. This is essentially the Joe Rogan podcast over here. It's DMT friendly. It's the DMT friendly space.
When you do DMT, it takes you to a place maybe outside yourself. You close your eyes and really go somewhere else. And I think when you die, it's released in your brain. So I think when you die, DMT is released into your brain, and that trip lasts. Who knows how long?
Right.
Time probably doesn't even. I think you're just fully gone into the DMT at that point. And if you've had good experiences, you're going to feel good about what happens. If you have bad experiences, you're going to feel bad about what happens. I think that's what happens when people come back and they're like, I saw this or I experienced this.
Right.
It's like, well, you fucking need to, come out of the closet or tell your mama you're mad about that thing.
Right. I would, because for me, DMT is like what kind of took me from like hard atheism to more of a, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Because I went Jehovah's Witness, and then myself just kind of bouncing around like I need something. Like it's not that, definitely not that, but something. And then like now it's like, oh fuck it, there's nothing. And then I did some DMT, and like now I'm like convinced that it's like when you close your eyes and you can really go and you're like about to lose yourself, you're like, am I still here? And you like come back, and I'm like, death must be that just letting go of that, am I still here? And you're no longer like...
You don't come back.
Yeah, you get that sense it's somewhere out there. There's like a point you hit on there that you're just like, oh, I wasn't there. Like I was like there, but I wasn't there. Like, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably it. That feels like it. Yeah. So I'm like...
Because when you do some drugs, it seems to be like a mixture. Some hallucinogenic drugs that are natural, I feel like it's a mixture between mental and like a spiritual thing.
Right.
So I assume once you lose the mental, you still have the spiritual. So like the spiritual part of like some trips you may have. And I think that's all it's going to be. And that sounds nice. I don't even know if I necessarily deserve that. And I don't even think that, I think it's going to be like a big ha-ha because you're going to go right back into like another body at some point. Because I don't think energy, like they say, energy doesn't die, whatever. So it's probably going to be...
I don't want that. So like that is the one that I don't want. Like I hate human reincarnation. I'm not doubting it. I'm not even... it seems like it could be one of the reasonable options that are out there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, yeah, maybe we just keep doing this, but I pray not.
Maybe not as a human, though.
Not as a human would be great.
That would be fun.
Right. If I could be, like, even, like, pop up on another planet or something, you know what I mean? Be a light being. I don't know what it was, but I'm like, if I was just like, they're like, okay, do it again, but out of Detroit. And I'd be like, no, nigga, like, I don't want to come back. This ain't fun.
That's why you get slapped on the ass. You're like, fuck.
Not again.
I thought I was done with this.
Yeah, like that.
The depression killed me. I don't want to be here anymore.
Like, well, you didn't beat the game. Like, you got to go again. That's like
But that's the thing about the idea that our shit is. I truly, that's just a religious thing. I think like energy can't, when it comes to what happens after, it can't be created or destroyed. So I do think all of this shit, we are just recycled parts. So then this whole idea of like, I'm meant to do something. It's like maybe the other one.
Right,
Maybe you're preparing now for the next iteration where you're fucking going to be a talking dog.
Right.
In a movie. One day.
One day, not today. Got a ways to go. That's, I'm glad you appreciate because I was talking to somebody the other day about like a mushroom trip and like, you know, where I feel about reality right now. And I'm like, because like someone was like, and obviously we evolved to be here. And I'm like, yeah, I'm about 95% sure of that. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know, like I'm 3% sure we're on a hologram right now. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, I don't know. I'm like, they're like, you think we're all holograms? I'm like, you guys are at least. I'm like, you guys might be part of my hologram. I don't know.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, learned it on a trip. Talk to the moon. And I was like, it wasn't really there. It was a projection. And this was all projection. And they're like, you know you were tripping. I was like, maybe. I was like, I can't be sure. I've done enough things in that spiritual realm that I'm like, nah, there's some connection to this. Like that I felt that like, maybe it's just tripping and maybe it's like a lifting of a veil. And I'm not willing to disqualify either. You know what I mean? So I'm
and that is religion. Religion is just fucking... I'm in the desert, sleep deprived, and then God was like, hey, man, cut your kid's dick off and start fucking these hoes.
Right.
And I was like, you guys...
this is what we got to do. So all y'all hoes is mine now. God told me.
Right.
I love to, like, look up all the religion origin stories, which are, like, literally all the same. It's always surprising to me that every religion didn't come to the conclusion, like, yo, hold up, we all talking about the same nigga. Like, it's just like, they're like, nah, and then God came to me and he said, like, destroy all the other gods. And I'm like, that's what Muhammad said. That's what Moses said. That's what...
Well, at some point, they're hearing that, like, we're all talking about the same one.
Right? Right, yeah, exactly.
Motherfuckers are taking... It's used for political purposes and all that different
financial
other stuff,
purposes. Like, I remember I was talking to, like, the Mormons and shit, and I was like, the Mormon kids, and I was like, y'all can't see how obvious this scam is right here? And I'm like, it's right there in the first pages of the book, witnesses to the pages, and it's his family and the niggas next door. And I was like, do you think it's more likely that God just came and talked to this family in Missouri, or that they came up with a really good hustle?
You don't understand my God like I do.
Right, yeah.
He loves me. This is like I say, it's they're up under it. And it's so easy to do. Part of me, man, if I was using my powers for evil, I would be asking niggas for money for a jet. I'd be a junior. If I would have went junior pastor.
Bruh, it is,
because the script don't change.
It don't change at all. It's such a good hustle. And like
comedy, I gotta think of things.
I gotta come up with new
my
scripts.
own shit. Like I can't refer to everybody. Pull out this and waste 20 minutes on reading.
Yeah, my grandfather's pastor. I swear to God, for his funeral, I was like, he wrote this speech for somebody else. Like he's using the same speech, and I was like, this nigga, like y'all don't gotta do nothing fresh. Like, and I do like secretly like my main goal in life. If I could have like one goal, it would definitely be to start a cult. Like
cults. I think there aren't enough black cults.
Right, like we could use a real good black-led, wholesome. They're gonna come for us first, but it's cool. I got the Kool-Aid ready, so yeah, I mean, as soon as they pull up, niggas love Kool-Aid.
Because you gotta kill yourself. If you've seen any Martin Scorsese film, you know the problem is when they get too greedy. Cults know, all right, you know. I'm going and all y'all going because ain't nobody about to tell all these secrets.
Yeah.
Especially before like the age of the documentary, all these motherfuckers that was like really getting away with shit with no fucking sort of. Imagine the cults we don't know anything about.
Oh yeah,
you know?
There's so many good ones. Fucking Osho still got his cult going on. The dude they did Wild Wild Country about. Mm-hmm. His cult is still active and collecting money like he did, but the cult's still hot. And I was like, I remember the first time I read an Osho book, I opened it up, like my friend was like, you gotta read this dude, he's brilliant. It was like before I knew he had a cult or anything, or you just gotta read this dude, and I got like a couple chapters in, I hit her up, and I was like, yo, this dude's he's a swindler. Like, he's just after your money. Like, you can tell this in his pages. Like, not knowing shit about him, he was like, yes, you must first acquire material goods for you to understand how good life is like once you don't have them. If you're just broke, you'll never appreciate life. You must acquire these things and then give them up. And he had a perfect person to give them to. That was him. So he was like, that nigga was up there with just mad Rolexes. He had mad Rolls Royces. He was like, go get your money, and then you got to give it up. And I was like, yo, this is a hustle.
That's hard. If we could cross gang culture with religion and somehow and tie in some of these philosophies, I think that'd be a way to go.
I mean, I want you to find me the atheist gang. I feel like every gang in the world, everyone in there would probably get mad at you if you disrespected Jesus. Like, I feel like if you rolled up to like a Blood and Crip gang meeting and was like, hey, first of all, fuck Jesus, homie. None of that shit's real. And they would join in together in fucking your blasphemous ass up.
Like Jesus is on the wall in like a red bandana and shit.
You know what I mean? All the MS-13s, they got all just like
that's so
fucking
true.
Mary tattoos.
That's
like
so true.
God,
Religion just sucks everything.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Like
It's so hard because I mean, if you're ideally, or mainly, probably, I don't know what words I'm using. Mostly, your biggest fear walking through the world is that I'm about to die, and then if I die, what happens? So that's over politics. That's over Kanye West, racial shit, and it could even be connected. On top of the racial shit, they're gonna kill me, and then when they kill me, where am I gonna go? I'll find peace in the great by and by. I hate that shit so much.
I really do.
That's why. Sorry, but we were talking about reincarnation shit. You know, Eddie Griffin shit about like the hurricanes and stuff. That's our ancestors because they go and they fuck up the areas where most brutal shit happens.
Right. Yeah.
Louisiana, Texas, all through the South. And then recently, Lake Lanier in Georgia, something fell into it, and I realized that Lake Lanier used to be. I learned that Lake Lanier used to be like a black city. That they did that thing, and then they were like, we want a lake, and they just flooded the city. So like all the shit is still there.
And
so then
white people just keep drowning out there.
Yeah, so like the ancestors are like, oh, okay,
we got you. It's like that's why like if I'm like out in like Utah or some shit, and like people are like, oh, that's like old Indian burial grounds, and weird shit can happen. And I'm like, to white people, I was like, we ain't do nothing to them. They ain't messing with us. Niggas is safe all over the place. I was like, we I was watching that Skinwalker Ranch documentary, and it's about this ranch. I think it's in like northern Utah. I haven't gone up there. But like they do this documentary and there's all these white people out there and they're like, all this bad stuff keeps happening, and they just keep going out there with like tools to like measure frequencies, and like one dude gets this like headache and then gets this real big bump on his head and he ends up in the hospital, and like all this bad shit's happening to him. And I'm like, because here y'all go, a bunch of white people going on this old Indian burial ground. Like they say the Native Americans won't even look in the direction of this place, and they just let the white people go. And they're like, nah, that place is fucked.
Where is it? Over there?
Yeah, and I'm like, y'all out there with no sage. You don't got no Native American with you to make sure y'all cool.
No
y'all
lotion.
Ain't say no apology, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, yeah, they fucking with y'all. Because y'all a bunch of white people going onto this land, and they're fucking with y'all specifically. I'm like, I'll go out there, and they be like, hey, man, like, you cool? You want us to get rid of these white people for you? Like, whatever. Like, I think we're a lot more spiritually safe moving around because, like, the spirits that haunt a lot of this place ain't here for everyone. They just here to haunt particular people.
And that's such an interesting thing because that implies that race is going to transcend, that other world. It's like we're still, our energy is still going to identify, under this thinking, our energy would still identify as whatever oppressed group that we were, I guess that I was wondering, like, if I'm a hurricane, am I physically a hurricane, but in my mind I'm like tripping, or in my spirit am I like deep into the throes, or am I like conscious when these white people come to my where I was murdered, and I'm like, oh fucking, I'm gonna put some shit.
Yeah,
Like, am I on top of it, or am I just like a part of it, like going through life like every other part?
Right. Yeah. That's just my existence is to be a hurricane. Like, I'm not a hurricane with vengeance. That's just, it's like us walking on the ants. And it's like, I ain't mean to walk on these ants. I'm just walking down the street.
It starts and ends. It starts at hurricanes, and then eventually you become a dude that works to rebuild where the hurricane was destroyed.
You working for FEMA now.
Right.
Yeah, that's just gonna be a rough hurricane season. I ain't excited about that.
Yeah, the ancestors are pissed.
Hey, mad as
George
fuck. Y'all
Floyd,
still ain't listening.
Breonna Taylor's people are still walking free.
And they got a body cam that they ain't released, but we ain't gonna get into. That's a whole other story.
Don't tell the ancestors.
Don't tell them. Speaking of black cults, I mean, obviously I want to start my own cult, but if there was ever a cult that I've wanted to join, it would have been Kanye's cult. Naturally. And by the way, this podcast is a complete Kanye apologist podcast. I'm fully on the side
hilarious.
of Kanye West. Where do you stand on the brother, and would you join the cult?
Funny story. Recently, I was talking about. I was in D.C. and I was talking about Kanye West at like a friend of a friend's house, where this friend was like, in the streets, more certified than my other friend and I. So I was, I think I said something about Kanye, probably like what we're talking about now, like, but he was also saying you can get $100,000.
Right.
And he was like, yo, we don't talk about Kanye in this house.
Whoa.
And switched up on me like that real quick. And I didn't even want to try it again, but I was like high and drunk enough to push the limit. But I think he would have hit me.
Yeah, it was like that.
Yeah. So first, I don't know. I root for people. I root for black people all the time, unless they're hurting other black people.
Right.
To be honest.
Right.
So I don't know. I love all the different stages of Kanye's life, and if he did have a cult, like I said, I probably wouldn't join, but I would go to the public meetings, listen to the songs, and I might give some of my earthly possessions.
I ain't even giving shit to no cult but myself. That's first thing on a cult. If I like sell all my belongings, I'll be like, "Hey family, I'm sorry, I'm never going to see you again, but my Prius was worth $8,000, so like, you know what I mean.
That's the least you could do,
right? Yeah. Like, hey,
not
listen,
talk to your family.
Love you guys, but I gotta go listen to these bangers. But on the ranch.
Yeah. He's gonna let us watch him make beats today.
Right. My niece, who's like 12, she just, I guess, I don't know if she listens to this podcast. I hope not, because my language is bad and we talk about drugs. But my mom does.
Nice.
Yeah. It's awkward. She's like, stop cursing. I'm like, we talked a lot about other stuff. Okay. But like my niece now has like kind of been on this like, Uncle Aston, like, why do you love Kanye West so much? Because she knows I do like a Kanye West podcast. And like basically I was like, I don't agree with everything that Kanye says, but I do believe that everything he says, he's like honest about it and says it passionately and doesn't try to like hold back or front for anybody. And that's what I like about him. Like even if he's wrong, I'm like, but that is how he feels. Like I don't think he's lying to me.
Right.
I think he's incorrect, but he's just trying to do something that no one else does, which is like talk without fear of like repercussion or like whatever. Like I don't think I've ever heard an honest word out of Jay-Z ever in my life.
That's hilarious.
And I love Hope, but I think everything that he says is like hella calculated.
Yeah, for sure.
And like he's never going to say anything that hurts the bag, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, whereas like Kanye West is just like,
he'll go broke for a year.
yeah, he's like, I don't give a fuck. But I'll go bankrupt for this shit. I'll tell you I'm bankrupt. Yeah, I ain't supposed to tell you I'm bankrupt. And everybody's like, he's crazy. Why is he out here asking for money and saying that he's bankrupt? Because he's bankrupt and he needs money. Like that's why. It's always the reason for him. It's just like, because this is what I feel right now. Mm-hmm. Which I like appreciate the fuck out of, one, just as an artist in general, and I really appreciate it as like a black artist. And like you said, like, I'm rooting for everybody black. So it's always crazy to me that like Kanye has like gotten himself to his position of being just honest all the time, and that it's like black people who they are going to let sink him. You know what I mean? Like white people didn't even have to do it.
Yeah. I think after Obama, black people let go, and I'll even dare to say Bill Cosby. Black people kind of let go of blindly supporting black people, which I think we were doing that for a while.
Yeah.
I think for a while that was like what you were supposed to do. If I didn't like what Obama was doing, I wasn't gonna say it around white people.
Right.
But now people are very loose with their opinions about other black people around white people, and that does make white people look at them like, well, see, y'all don't even
Right. Yeah.
don't even fuck with each other.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was always like people were like, no, Kanye's bad because he's influencing black people like negatively. With regards to like wanting to be Republican, which I always said, like, find me the black person that decided they were going to vote Republican because of Kanye West.
Or decided anything, really.
Right.
Like, I mean,
I've never met that person. But I'm like, I am watching instead like black people take down one of the richest, most influential, powerful black people we've ever had. Like he is like a force in the world, kind of, you know what I mean? Just as far as the platform that he has. And we were like, black people, do your thing. And like we took him out ourselves.
Well, he helped.
I mean, he helped with the slavery was a choice thing, but like not even.
You're talking about out of context things. But he doesn't even write his own rhymes. So can you blame him for not saying shit the right way? Sometimes he needs help.
Right.
If Consequence was there to help him make that point, it would have been eloquent. We all would have gotten it.
I had a Prince there just to be like, okay, no, say it this way. Yeah. Like, all right, bet.
Sounds like a choice to me. Yeah, that's a really hip hop way of saying that, but let's think political. How do we want to How do we want to say that slavery is a choice to a room full of black people? Let's go back over this.
And you know, I've made this point like several times on this podcast. I'm in full agreement with him on that statement and completely understand what he was trying to say.
Right.
Because I do recognize that we rep that statement in Harriet Tubman. And, you know, I would have freed more slaves if only they knew they, like, were actually slaves. We rep it in Killmonger when he was, like, bury me in the sea with my ancestors that, like, was a line that, like, you know, chose, like, death over bondage or some shit like that. And I'm like, so we kind of, like, rep that line of, like, no, it wasn't this actual choice, which he, like, came back and was like, nah, it's not. I'm not saying it's a literal choice. I'm just saying we still are in places that were like this today. And I think we let the media run off with just that slavery is a choice snippet.
Yeah. And people don't read. People see the headline, Kanye West said slavery is a choice. You see Kanye West said slavery is a choice. Did he? No one's like, oh, let's read the article.
Right.
Like let's go watch the video and see what actually happened. Even though Tupac told us don't believe everything you read, we still are like, oh, okay, yeah.
And like,
that must be true.
I heard mad people being like, well, I know what he was trying to say, but people aren't going to understand him. And I was like, but you get it.
Right.
Were you worried about if they get it or not? Did they tell you they don't get it? Then, like, you know, like, no, but he told me he got it, but he was worried that someone else might not get it. And I'm like, we always worry about, like, people being too dumb to understand a point that we understand instead of just taking a point ourselves and, like, moving on with them. Like, you got it, so why you confusing it for other people? You know what I mean? So I'm still fucking with him. You hear him and Drake are cool again?
No.
Yeah. I got under. They might have a track on Kanye's new album. It's coming. It's coming.
I'm not so happy about that.
I mean, neither.
Team Pusha T, and I like the pettiness. I like all of Kanye West's antics for marketing, like the 50 Cent thing, where they dropped album at the same time, and that
Do you know when that album was?
I can't remember now.
9/11.
Oh, that's funny.
I posted every 9/11. Never forget. And with the face off, it was a Vibe magazine cover, and they got the face off.
He stands on a box.
Yeah. And 50 didn't quit. Kanye outsold him. He didn't actually quit, but
I'm saying, but like, you know, at that point, everybody was like, yeah, 50 Cent can sit down now.
Yeah,
do something else.
Yeah.
But I like the scoopity poop shit, and then it came out that was just some petty shit. I like the idea that Kanye West gets into a studio with Pusha T and it's just full on like hip hop, like just full on like, and say that shit about his kids. Like I would love to imagine just the energy versus. I would love to imagine Kanye and Kid Cudi in the stew. But then Kanye and Pusha T in the stew. It's like this is like two different.
Kanye and YNW Melly. Like,
all those, I'm sure he has a thing where he like completely, like lets go a little bit and allows the collaboration to really like be like true. You know, I think he lets go of ego, even real logic. I think part of that bipolar shit, he's probably able to make like that Pusha T album is crazy, and the process of it was crazy. He was like, I had beats. He was like, I'll make all these over, and Pusha T was like, all right,
which is like still. At that time, people were telling me, like, Kanye is washed. And I was like, that nigga just produced 5 albums at one time. And they were all, like, Pusha T's best album. Kanye's was, I think it was, because it's only 7 tracks. So it's like a complete, I'll let it run, like, twice in a row when I listen to it. Where other Pusha T albums might have a little skipper and shit on here.
True.
It's a real solid album. It's trash.
No, I like 2 songs.
I like 3 songs on it.
Well, see, that's a good percentage with 7 songs.
Yeah,
so.
it's solid, but it's like Kanye. I want a classic.
Yeah.
So it was for me. That was Kanye's first not classic album in his career. Like,
Okay.
Up until then, I think every single one of them was a classic.
Okay.
And then that one, I was like, I like some of the songs. I think it was great. And I love Kids See Ghosts.
I love that.
Nas's album was okay. Tiana Taylor's album I thought was really good. But I was like, you produced 5 solid albums that you just scrapped everything. Was like, let me redo these real quick.
And I honestly think, wasn't that like he had just gotten out of the fucking
Facility?
Cedar Sinai shit?
No, that was when he first went to see Trump the first time.
Uh-huh.
And then he put these out. Yeah, this was like maybe like
Like we was all
it
like
was a couple months after. It was
we
like
was all like he's too crazy.
yeah, like it's all gonna be trash. And he was like, nah, I can still make these beats. And even like Jesus is King still got some slappers on it.
I will agree that
You
from Ye to Jesus is King, I'm worried that this next thing is going to be something I don't like.
all right, okay.
Another thing that
What
I
I've
don't like
heard
to be
about this new one, I mean, and this is just what I've heard as far as like features, production. It sounds like it's going to be like a actual Kanye West album, not a Kanye West God album.
Okay, so he's gonna go back to the roots like J. Cole did, like just actually give us, or like Tyler did too.
Yeah, I was like, don't bring up J. Cole
It's
on
gonna
this
be-
podcast. This is not.
Oh,
this is
God,
not
I
a.
forgot.
This is not a Jermaine Cole positive podcast.
forgot.
Don't look to your woman for support. She ain't gonna help you with J. Cole because J. Cole don't get talked about around here because he don't got no bangers around here.
All right, so if we're talking about
back to his roots,
boom bap,
not even boom. We
rap.
can talk about Tyler. Tyler's a legend. Tyler's amazing. Tyler's original. His production is on point and dynamic. His lyrics are
So
personal.
You're saying Kanye West, Martin Luther King, J. Cole, Jesse Jackson.
Kanye West, Martin Luther King, J. Cole, John Lewis. But like when he was real young.
John Lewis.
Like baby John Lewis.
John
just walking
Lewis.
on the side of these niggas trying to hold somebody. Not even.
John Lewis had a great career, so
J.
that's
Cole,
high praise.
J. Cole is just J. Cole. Like
All right, so is this the Kanye album? Is it gonna be? He's been teasing this Migos collaboration for like 3 years.
You got Future on it.
Okay,
You got
yeah.
Travis on it.
I'm assuming we're
I think
gonna
you got
get
Lil Uzi on it.
Yeah, is it gonna be like a Travis led? Because he has these little protege people. Is it gonna be like a Travis led project, or a Vic Mensa led project, or Chance, or Kid Cudi? Like, who's he gonna have in the stew with him while he's cooking up? Because I would like to see more 2 Chainz, Big Sean action.
Yeah.
I want to hear some.
I don't need any Vic
hip hop
Mensa
shit.
really. I want to hear some like good ass. Did you hear any of the Yandhi album because Yandhi basically turned into Jesus is King. So he took a few tracks off Yandhi, scrapped a few Johns, and then he put out Jesus is King. And I heard the Yandhi album. It's like all the Jesus is King tracks, but they're secular. They're not like religious tracks.
Wow. That sounds dope.
It is like, and he's got like Young Thug and ASAP and like all.
I think I may have heard a couple
Right,
of these.
yeah, the Alien John. He's got some slappers on there. So I'm thinking he's going to return back to that. And you also have to remember, my guy is fresh out of a divorce. And when he broke up with Amber, we got Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
We got, oh wow.
One of the greatest albums of all time. Chris Rock puts it above Off the Wall. I think that's crazy, but it's one of the, like, production, like, beginning to end, that is a full-on classic album. And I think we might have him back in that position.
I mean, hey, I'm excited for the prospects. I would prefer maybe half collaborative, half solo, digging deep into that shit, if I'm being honest. But, yeah, because I think in a way, he's not washed, but he's now like a machine. So that he, like those people I named earlier, he does need like help with like the pulse of shit at some point. I think like, what do people want to hear me do? You know,
right?
That sort of shit.
And one thing I've always liked, because people are always like, Kanye is he's a collaborative artist. Even like, you know, he's producing tracks, but he's got like Mike Dean in there helping. He'll have Travis in there. He'll have whatchamacallit, the boy from Bon Iver, he be in there, and like he's got like all these like producers that help him with sound, right, to keep him on the pulse. Like real heavy on Yeezus and
Rick Rubin was. I love those videos to see Rick Rubin working on Yeezus. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's why this album's so good.
Right. And so he's definitely collaborative, and people are like, he's collaborative. I'm like, yeah, but like the thing is, if he is making the best product each time he collaborates, great. So like I'm like, let him get in the booth with all the proteges and people that help all day. If he's getting back to, and my problem with him making like the Jesus music is Kanye always just kind of, to me, it feels like he's making music off of just like what he's feeling, what he's trying to say, and it's not like on this like point. And with Jesus is King and them, he was like trying to make a Jesus album, and he's like trying to squeeze Jesus into places where Jesus don't need to be. And so the product just suffered. He was making music to push Jesus, where he's usually just like making music for music,
right? And
like his truth. But like then it was like, no, Jesus, and you're like, nigga, this ain't it.
Your marriage is going bad when you were like, I'm gonna do a Jesus album. Maybe that'll help us.
Yeah, we should reconsider everything. All right, so Kanye West, J. Cole, and let's say Griselda drop albums on the same day. Who are you listening to first?
I'm from the same area code as J. Cole.
Okay.
And I feel very compelled. I need more details. What's it called? Who are the features?
One album is by Kanye West. The other is by J. Cole.
No, I need
produced
more.
by J. Cole with no features.
Okay.
Right? And the other is like just like Griselda, just the three members. We'll just Kanye, J. Cole.
Any exciting producers on the Griselda? Is it the same? Is it Derringer? Are they switching it up?
Nah. Just straight
Same
Griselda album.
And the Kanye album that we are predicting right now.
Right.
That's so fucked up because you don't even want to give the same energy to this next J. Cole album. Because we're gonna have some 21 Savage on there. Oh, you said no features. Fuck.
No features. No features. No production help. Just J. Cole and his little sleepy beats.
Fuck that. J. Cole, because that last album was good, and I'm sure there's some.
That last album
there's some shit that he didn't put on this that's gonna be fire, and then by the time,
Hold on. Are you calling his last album great, or are you calling it good?
It's the best. It's my favorite thing he's done since the warm-up.
Since the warm-up, better than Forest Hills.
Yeah, I think.
Okay, as far as he'll drop a classic.
It's important. We're gonna look back at that album and be like, he did all that without help.
Yeah, right. He figured out he lost his virginity with no one else to help him.
We're gonna look at J. Cole and say he did all that by himself.
I don't think we are. I think we're gonna look at J. Cole and be like, what did we let niggas convince us of? How did we let Hov sell us this? When did he ever live up to the potential? Where are the bangers? Where are the bangers, people? The
song with the baby that they start off that collaborative album.
Oh yeah, that John, nice. That's not a J. Cole song.
Yes, it is. Middle Child is hard.
Middle Child is not a banger. Middle Child, no one will ever. Middle Child
was everywhere.
Put it on in the club.
I've heard it. Well,
that shit do not bang. It do not bang. I'm in, and here's like here's like J. Cole fans, right, in a nutshell, because I'm dealing with this on Twitter right now. Someone was like, J. Cole doesn't get the love he deserves for his flow. Some J. Cole, super fan. And I was like, he's literally the most overrated rapper ever, and which I do believe. Like I would say it's Eminem, but Eminem's flow is actually like pretty ridiculous. Like he says some clever shit, but I hate Eminem. Like I don't want to hear his songs. I don't think he makes good songs. But at least like his flow is super nice.
He was
like,
just talking about putting down black people, and now you want to say the white boy got rhythm. But the nigga,
hold on.
The nigga with dreads that has worked with Beyonce is overrated.
I specifically said he does not have rhythm. Because that's why I don't like his songs. Eminem don't make good songs. He don't give a fuck about making no, cool song. But he's like, I'm going to rap really fast and clever on this. And I'm like, all right, he raps the fastest and cleverest. Whereas J. Cole, I'm like, these beats don't slap. Your lyrics is eh.
Did you listen to the last album?
Of course I did. I've listened to every
you
J.
listened
Cole
to it like this?
multiple times. I didn't even.
You have to listen to it. You have to be by yourself. You have to smoke a joint. You have to have just called up one of your high school girlfriends and
Tell
how
you
to
miss her and sorry that you did her wrong.
force the conversation in a negative way that hurts your feelings, and then you pop in the coal.
I will remember that for next time.
You make her rehash why it didn't work out, and then you pop it in.
Then you pop it in. That's how you listen. And you just sit there
But
and
no,
go,
you
man.
listen to it like this. This dude.
But
Cameron was on it. He was probably like, I wonder how much he got paid to do this.
Nah,
you couldn't even.
nah.
Cameron doesn't even
I'll
make
tell
it
you,
legitimate.
my first thought on that track was, yo, this nigga's really trying to do a banger. I'm like, he's about to do it, right? I was like, he's about to do it.
He's really trying to
He
do it.
got Cam on it. He went and got the Hove sample. He got fucking Little John shit on it. He even auto-tuned his voice at the end. He tried to make a banger as hard as he could on that track.
That's a good song.
It's a good song. Do it bang?
Who cares?
Precisely.
Does everything have to bang?
Not everything has to bang, but at least one thing should bang. You could pull one banger out. Soulja Boy runs laps around J. Cole and bangers. And so I will say on this podcast, Soulja Boy greater than J. Cole.
Who the fuck cares? All right, Soulja Boy never stopped trying to entertain 16-year-olds. He's an emotionally stunted person that hits his women.
Does he hit his women?
Yes.
Okay.
J. Cole
All right.
is growing with his audience.
He is not.
Like me as his audience.
Okay, you feel like you're growing with him?
I think he deviated a little bit for 3 albums straight. But now I think we're back on track to what we loved about him. And rappers do that all the time. I love Wiz Khalifa mixtapes, but not albums.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Big Sean I liked the run before he started releasing albums too. A lot of these rappers disappoint me like that. Just because J. Cole doesn't have an ass hit doesn't mean that.
I will say
I guess you wouldn't play him at a party. But how often are you partying? Aren't you ever just having a nice day around the house if you want to listen to J. Cole?
I'll listen to some Alanis Morissette. I won't listen to Alanis Morissette. All right, tell the people where they can find you.
You would out yourself as an Alanis Morissette fan just to not be associated with liking J. Cole in the slightest.
Yeah, basically.
The bias is too strong for us to really have a dialogue about Jermaine.
I just read Biased on there for the first time ever. But yeah,
Class A bias.
Class A bias, but correct. And you've confirmed no bangers. And so my point is made. Let the people know where they can find you at.
What's that song with Trey Songz?
Yeah, you got to find features.
No, not Trey Songz.
You got to find features. No, he got
the one with Miguel.
The one with
Miguel and
London?
J. Cole. No, that's Young Thug.
Yeah,
that song's a banger. They play that.
Oh, who's got the best verse on that song?
J. Cole.
The fuck out of here. Young Thug, Wash Cole.
Huh? Yeah.
Come through and chill,
let's
just
chill.
say it. Do that sound like a banger? Come through and chill?
No.
Okay. Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at J. Cole fan.
You've been following me on Twitter. You've been harassing me.
You can find me at Reid Clark Comedy, ReidClark. Check out the People's Report podcast, one me and my lovely partner Amber Walker do. This is a satirical news show, scripted. So we're not here to compete with this show, you know. And it's shorter, so, bounce back and forth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's room to listen to everything. Y'all ain't doing nothing. Y'all ain't busy.
You're
Y'all ain't go back
traffic.
to work. All right. And I've been Aston Wallace. This is FPRK Radio. You can find us at FPRK Radio on Instagram. Follow Aston Wallace on YouTube. I told you I was going to get a Patreon. Haven't done it yet. So just follow those things. And we'll be back to you sometime soon. Thanks for tuning in. Peace.